Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, students, I'm now going to introduce you to our head teacher, Ms. White, who is going to welcome you to the event. Ms. White.
Yes, wait for everybody to find a seat first. They can make some space here. Some space there. Yeah. Okay, so I want to start by welcoming you here. It's absolutely fantastic to see everybody face to face, particularly after this very difficult year we've had with COVID in terms of trying to communicate virtually and by letter. That's how I can communicate. So my name is Paula White, and I'm kind of not new anymore. I started my headship here last September, and I thoroughly enjoy working at this school, working with your sons and working with the staff. I've spent many years in Catholic education. I spent the last prior to getting headship here, I spent 9 years as deputy head in Hackney, and I did a number of roles there, inclusion, timetabling, curriculum, and then I also, prior to that, I was 13 years at Cardinal Vaughan School in Kensington, and that's a highly, it's quite prestigious in terms of Catholic schools. It's one of the highest performing Catholic schools in the country. So I was head of maths there. I was on the senior team as assistant head, and then I went to the East End as deputy. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Last year, I can't lie, I suppose. I've got to say it was very challenging in the sense of what the implications COVID had for all of us. But it was. I want to thank you for supporting your son and for working with us during the past 2 lockdowns. And it wasn't easy for anyone. We had excellent attendance at online lessons and very high rates of work completion, both classwork, homework that was done online during the lockdown. So I want to thank you for your support, because that doesn't happen without you as parents at home knocking your sons into shape, getting them out of bed, making them sit down, making them tune into their online learning on time, making them do their work. But I very much appreciated your support, and also the staff on the weekly welfare call. Very useful to catch up with you during the lockdown, and also to catch up with our boys to make sure they're okay. And just pause for a minute while the boys find a seat. Okay, so we're all nearly seated now. Right, now, so last academic year, despite its challenges, it was a very successful year for the school. And some of these successes include a Section 48, which is the Catholic Schools Inspection, which took place here in May. And I sent you out the report that the diocese inspector wrote after that. And it was basically, the school was deemed to be, or judged to be, solidly good with outstanding features. So I think we've moved a long way since the Ofsted of 2018, where the school was judged requiring improvement. We've worked very hard. I've worked very hard with my senior team, with the middle leaders, with you as parents, with the boys, to make sure that our school is on the road to outstanding in the next Ofsted inspection. And I've every confidence that working, keeping going, and keeping pushing in the right direction, we get there. I'm totally determined. I'm very resilient, but I'm also very determined. And I'm determined that every single boy in this school is going to be a success. Because as a Catholic school, we understand, you understand that your child is unique and special, and we understand that too. That's how we look at each of our pupils. Each created by God, each different. Life would be very boring if you're all the same. So our job here, our job is to serve you as families and to serve your children and make sure they make the best of themselves, whatever that is. And I'm not just talking about academic success, I'm talking about developing your son socially, morally, spiritually, culturally, so that at the end of his education year, your son is in year 11, there's 2 years to follow into the sixth form to do A-levels, BTEC, and then into university, and then after university out into the world of work. So what I make clear to the boys is that I want you to be a professional student. I was talking to a group of year 9 this morning, and I said, boys, your 6-week holiday is over, it's now professional business. So it's really, really important that this year, over the next few months, that your son works really hard. Because more than likely, I would say very probably, unless something happens, your son will be writing exams. The last 2 years have been teacher assessments for GCSE, but your son will be writing exams in the exam hall, writing exam papers. It won't be teacher assessments. That's what we're told at this current point. So it's very important that the next few months, absolute focus in lessons, complete that homework, revise, attend after school intervention, because we are working very hard to close those COVID gaps. I think they're more or less closed, but again, when we look at data, there's variation. Some boys are not working as hard as they should be, so there will be a program in place to make sure they do, because otherwise when they come in here next August, please God, to get their exam results, they will be disappointed if they haven't put the effort into it. So this year, that was one really good aspect, and I shared the Section 48 Catholic School report with you. I emailed it home. So the GCSE and A-level results were really good. The A-level pupils, 37% of them got into Russell Group. So you've got Oxford, Cambridge, and then you've got the Russell Group universities. So 37% of our A-level pupils secured a place. Now, in order to get into our sixth form, you need to meet certain criteria for each subject. So over the next few weeks and months, our careers advisor will be working one-to-one with your son, looking at his academic success to date, talking to him about his interests, and guiding him in terms of career choice, in terms of A-level subject choice. So I'm sure that you as a parent are going to have the same conversations. So it's really important that your son sees this as a continuum. So he's now leading up to his GCSEs, then there's the A-level, then there's the next stage in his educational career. So our careers advisor, Jonathan Howard, will work with them to help him. So this evening is an opportunity for you to find out about the year 11 curriculum. So curriculum is what each subject teaches, basically the content of the curriculum, and also the assessments your son will sit over the next few months. So there's going to be a series of mock exams, etc. Again, to get your son prepared to really excel in these exams next year. So after this session this evening, Ms. Kinzer will deliver a session on opportunities for our high-power attainers. So that should be, I hope you find that interesting and enjoyable. So in terms of how I communicate, over the last year as head teacher, I've been writing home about every 3 weeks, keeping up to date with what's happening at the school, and I hope you found that helpful. I also hold a head teacher First Friday event. So the first Friday of every month during the school year, the academic year, we have a virtual meeting for half an hour between 10 and 10:30. It's the first Friday of each month. And any parent can join me. You just need to go onto the website and click, you'll see the information. Come and join the virtual meeting. I'll revert back to face-to-face later on, this probably over the next few months, so you can actually come into the building and we can meet and chat. But it's I update parents on what's happening, and then they have plenty of questions, which is great. So they ask me questions about what's happening in their particular son's year group. So, a date for your diaries, year 11 parents' evening is Thursday, September the 23rd from 4 to 7, and it's face to face again, so it's not virtual. You'll be in here meeting the staff, meeting your son's teachers, so please attend that. And I'm looking forward to meeting you afterwards, so we can chat if that's what you want to do. So one last thing, so please make sure your son works hard, applies himself fully to his studies, and he certainly then will reap the rewards when he secures top results. And thanks once again for your support over the last years. It was challenging, but let's just try and park that one, and we move forward. And communication is so much easier, but when we can talk to each other face to face, and you can come and talk to me as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'll hand back to Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Ms. White. So I'm Ms. Kirsten. I'm an assistant head teacher at St. Aloysius College for parents who might not be familiar with me. And my job role is looking after the outcomes of your sons, that is their exam results, and also the curriculum, which is the two things that I work very closely with the students, with the heads of years, the teachers, and obviously the leadership team. Now, learning at St. Aloysius is very essential for every child. Learning is essential, but the reason as to why we learn, and you'll find this on the DFE's statement in all their documents, is that we have a responsibility to educate the next generation. Obviously, that is why we keep our economy going and our world keeps turning over. But it has to be about them generating a love for knowledge, a thirst for knowledge, and those are the things we try to instill in your sons as we teach them, for them to know their own culture and that of others as well, making it possible for living in harmony. But education is also about the young person themselves, and it is about them receiving the preparation they need to secure a good job, have a fulfilling career, become resilient, and have a moral character so that they can go forward, go on to be successful human beings. Now, in learning at St. Aloysius, we do aspire delivering it through our mission values, and our boys are very familiar with this. But I thought I'd just put it in the context that when we are teaching in our lessons, we're not just teaching your son science, math, English. We are teaching them to be better people, and that's what the world needs a lot of at the moment. So we want to enable every young person to be successful. Not every child is the same. Everyone's an individual. We know that. We understand that. And you'll find in our Section 48 inspection report that Ms. White has referred to, the school has been highlighted as being outstanding in the way we care and nurture our students to develop themselves and become successful. And that is what learning is about. We want to enable every young person to be tolerant in that society that they live in the wider society that they will live in, and in this wider world. And that is the respect that they will then show to everybody and themselves. We enable every young person to be responsible citizens. And we don't want them to stay with us forever, but we want them to go out there and be part of the community, to be able to live amongst others and live in harmony. And that's community. And then enable every young person to be effective, honest, and fair. And through the course of the year, as they go through the 5 years of learning at secondary level, we do a lot of talks with them about justice, about being fair, about being honest, and to be aware of the norms of society and when to ask questions and how to ask the right question. And that's what Ms. White referred to, where we develop them academically. And we do that really well. Our progress over the last 3 years will show that. But we also develop them holistically as well. I'm now going to hand you over to your son's head of year. Many of you have already met her through a voice call or a text message, and that's Ms. Garib, who will give you an address on what she expects from your sons this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to this evening's first meeting back at school after a very long period. Having you sit here in front of me, absolutely wonderful feeling to see a room full of parents that are very interested in their son's academic journey throughout the course of this year. Like Ms. Kirsten says, I am no stranger. You've heard about me, either heard from me through text messages or phone calls home. If your son was in year 11 at the school last year, I am certainly no stranger. I would have taken him through a 5-year journey through the school and seen him finish off with his GCSE results last year. A resounding success, which I have every intention of making sure happens again this year. So to you, a lot of you, I am a new face, a new voice, but there's something you and I have in common. Your sons are my boys. And when they come to school and walk through those gates early in the morning, you can be rest assured that their best interests are at the forefront of my mind. When we send them off at the end of the day, again, my only want is that they have had a very happy day in school, they have excelled in the classroom, on the sports field, whatever it is, but they are happy children. And by the end of the year, I really do wish and hope that every one of them gets into a post-16 provision that they are happy with. Not just a college or an apprenticeship, because that's the only place that will take them, but because that is where they see their future lie. So to introduce my team, I am the head of year, and our year group is line managed by Ms. Kirsten, but we have fantastic form tutors who have spent more time with your sons than myself. Ms. Jastrup for red tie, Ms. Prioji with blue tie. We've got Mr. Campbell, who's joined our team this year for white tie. Mr. Caceres has got black tie, Mr. Kaku with gold tie, and Mr. Elmsley with purple tie. Our intervention team, what that means is these are the teachers who are going to be involved in early morning intervention, and we are very proud to say the heads of English, Math, and Science have been attached to year 11. So you can see the commitment that we as a school have to ensuring the success of your son while he's here in school. So two things, or a couple of things that I'm going to go through very quickly, but they are house rules that I've gone through with the boys on the first day that they were back in school. Attendance. My expectation is that the boys are here every day of the school year unless they really can't be. Year 11, there is no question about it. They should not be waking up in the morning and saying, Mom, Dad, I have a headache, I need to go back to bed. So unless they are really unwell and can't make it in, or there's some very pressing reason for them not being in school, the expectation is that they are here daily. 96% of persistent poor or non-attenders fail to achieve 5 GCSE or more grades. The amount of work lost of one day of the boy not being in school is tremendous, because there's tons of work happening in class while he's away. And the students themselves will tell you how much of work they've got to catch up on when they do return to school. Punctuality. Now, this is a big one, and you will be hearing from me on a daily basis if your son has been late to school. Again, other than trying to instill in them that being on time is a life skill. You and I both know this. We cannot be pitching up to work late. We cannot make it a regular occurrence to be at work late. We get sacked from our jobs if we continuously pitched up somewhere late. I also said to them, it is a skill that we pick up while we are in school. So for obvious reasons, the boys must be here on time. At 8:30 in the morning, I have an assembly for the entire year group every morning. So I meet the boys in the dining hall, at which point any announcements for the day, anything that happened the previous day, anything that needs to be notified, that information is given to them in the morning. We all know that talking to the boys and giving them information 3 days before something's about to happen, it's not going to happen. So I meet them on a morning basis for about 10 minutes before they go off to their form rooms with their form tutors. At that point, very important information is passed down to them, and should they not be in that assembly at 8:30, they then have missed out all that information. So yes, we do understand that sometimes there are things that are beyond our control. But there are some boys that just try it. I woke up late this morning, I slept in, or whatever the case is, but ridiculous excuses that we should not be hearing about at this point. So please ensure that he is here in school on time. Now, uniform. I'm not going to go through each part of the uniform. Your son's been here in the majority, most of the boys have been here for 5 years, so they know what the uniform is, and so do you. The only addition to the uniform in year 11 has been a belt. Now, I've had some parents say to me, but why? Why do they need a belt? Why is there a new addition in year 11? My parents whose sons were here last year have also know why I added a belt onto the uniform, and I explained this to the boys a few days ago. And I asked them, I said, boys, am I being unreasonable? Am I asking you to do something you don't want to do or you don't like doing? Because I am more than happy to listen to you. And I then explained to them why I would like them to wear belts. In year 11, the boys are a cut above the rest. They are not in year 7, 8, 9, or 10, which means that when they walk around, they command respect in the school. They need to be seen as that particular group that we are going to aspire to look like. We are going to aspire to be like. We are going to aspire to make sure that our results are like those students. Having them walk around the school with their trousers hanging low is not the impression we want to give to the younger students, but also people take them a lot more seriously when they look smart. So the boys have been looking fantastic ever since they've come back, wearing their uniform fantastically, and they look amazing with the belt. Equipment, again, not going to go through all of that with you. Everybody's been doing a fantastic job getting the boys ready for school. Only 2 things or 3 things to remind you about. Every student must have a calculator. Very often I walk into a maths or a science exam, and some of the boys are sitting there and they don't have a scientific calculator. They cannot take a GCSE exam without a calculator in some of their subjects. Textbooks. Now, textbooks is a bit of an issue because over the lockdown period, some of the boys have mislaid their textbooks, or it's in their room somewhere. But they come to lesson and those textbooks are not here. So maths and science currently is an issue because some of the maths textbooks are not here, they don't know where it is, etc. Science as well, they were given 3 textbooks at the start of year 9, physics, biology, and chemistry. Please ensure they have those books because those are resources we need to have in school. Should they not have their textbooks, if they've misplaced them, if whatever the reason is, the deposit wasn't paid and they don't have a book, can we please get that sorted out as a matter of urgency? And the last bit about equipment, a see-through pencil case, please. It is a JCQ requirement that the boys sit their GCSE exam with a see-through pencil case, transparent pencil case. So if we get it for them at the start, you don't have to buy another one during the course of the year. This is my zero tolerance approach when I walk around the school. Disruptions to lessons will not be tolerated. Now the boys know this. And the reason, obviously, for obvious reasons, there should be no disruptions in lessons. And if there are, that is very severely dealt with. Every single parent sitting in here sends their child to school with the assumption that their child is getting an excellent education when they come here. When somebody's child decides to take it upon themselves to have a conversation with their friends, or to be rude to a teacher, or to pitch up in the class 5 minutes late, it impacts on every child in that classroom because time is then lost from the lesson. So I make it very clear to the boys that should anybody disrupt the lesson, you're not just disrupting your own education, but that of the 20-some-odd other students that are in that class, and that is not something we will accept or that we will allow in the school. So student conversations in the classroom must be constructive and not destructive. It's only when the teachers permit them to have group discussions, etc., are they allowed to have those conversations. And we're not being hard and fast about these things because they have 2 lessons a break. They have 2 lessons at lunch. They have 2 lessons and they go home. And that's a sufficient amount of time for them to go in and focus on their education. Our next point, or my next point, is this addition well, it's always been a rule in the school. Mobile phones is an absolute no-go from the time they walk through the gates till the time they leave. Last year, there was a bit of complacency where the phones were coming out. The boys were on their phones during break time, in the mornings, etc. It is an absolute no. If the boys' phones are seen, if we see AirPods on them during the course of the day, it means they are on their mobile phones, and it will be taken and it will be handed only back to the parent when the parent comes to collect that. Besides the fact that the boys should not be on their phones in class, it is a massive safeguarding concern if boys are seen on their phones in school, especially if they're taking out photographs of other students or videoing something and those things become viral. So that is something that we cannot and will not tolerate here at school. And then my last point, no homework. Now, we have a rule about them not doing homework, but I just wanted to explain the importance of the boys going home and doing work. At this point, it's not negotiable. They've got to go home. They've got to emphasize their learning in the classroom. Your son gets about 40 to 45 minutes of lesson time. In a bigger scheme of things, that's nowhere close to them getting a 7, 8, or 9. So they have to come back home and do homework. They've got to do revision. They've got to put a program in place for their study, because the amount of time they have per subject in school for the day is not sufficient enough. So please, can you help me to ensure that this is getting done at home? If any of them come home and say, I have no homework, or I have nothing to do. Now, this is a big one. How can a year 11 student have nothing to do? Especially when Ms. Kiston speaks to you just now and says, what work they'll be tested on, that's year 9 and year 10 work. They should continuously be revising or getting their homework done in the afternoon. But if there is no homework, you and I will be having a discussion about them not having brought that homework in and why. Right? No, Ms. Kiston was waiting for me to zip it. So that's me done from my point. For me, I put a bit of a message in the booklet, but for me, communication is key. And that was my success criteria with my last year group. My relationship with my parents was what secured the boys their grades, because the boys didn't get the opportunity to go home and say, although Ms. Garib said I did this, but somebody else did that. Because if you and I are communicating, then we can ensure that the boys get to where they need to get by the end of the year. And with that, I look very forward to having an amazing year. Thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's back to me, and I'm talking about learning and progress. And I'm sure you felt the passion in Ms. Garib's voice. I'm sure the boys feel the passion every day, but she means real business. She's been here a long time. And that's the one thing you'll get at St. Aloysius is that I've been here for more than 20 years. I could have moved on a long time ago, but we really enjoy working at the school. And what we love is when our students become successful and come back to say, Miss, I've done this, Miss, I've done that. And that's what we want for all the students that go through our hands. Now, we provide a curriculum at St. Aloysius that's made up of a full range of subjects, which your boys have started from the beginning of year 9. And the purpose of that is to allow their learning to progress and for them to work towards achieving the goals that they have set for themselves. We develop students' independent learning skills and resilience. I've mentioned this before, so that they are ready for further education. We will push every single one of your sons to strive for further education, because we believe that success comes with further education. The more educated you are, the better chances you get of having better paying jobs and living a better and more comfortable life. We've provided broad, balanced curriculum that is going to be challenging for your sons. You've seen that over the last few years. And as we've already said, we develop them spiritually, morally, socially, and we're just developing the whole child. We promote a positive attitude towards learning. I know our year 11s are feeling the pressure of everything coming their way right now, so they're not going to love it. But while they've gone through their learning, and we've been here long enough and felt and know when the students come back to say, Miss, I really miss school. I've left, I've gone for 4 years now, but I really miss school because you made us want to learn. You forced us to learn. We didn't like it then, but now we understand why. And they will eventually understand that. Ensure equal access to learning. Every child has the same opportunity. No child is treated any differently. And that is very important to us. And every individual, every adult, from teachers to the leadership team to our support staff, have high expectations of our students in terms of their learning, in terms of their behavior, and in terms of their attitude towards learning. We develop key knowledge, skills, and attributes as they're going through their learning. Those are the skills that they're going to need to flourish in their future life. We want to always make access to higher education for every student, so they have that opportunity and they will be learning a lot about careers and things as we're going through. It includes the development of transferable skills, not just about learning the history, the geography, but skills that they learn along the way, like essay writing, like computing, like maths, and these are skills they're going to need to survive in the bigger world. So it's all about preparing your sons for the future. But that work has started in year 9 and it continues. Our curriculum is made up of 2 parts. We have the core academic part of the curriculum, and then we have a bit of the creative part of the curriculum. The core subjects, maths, English, science, those are the 3 musts. And then with being a Catholic school, religious studies also forms our taught. And we have physical education. The government have made it compulsory for every child to have at least 2 periods of physical education a week. And this is to ensure that they get a chance to exercise, they learn about physical fitness, and learn about how to look after their bodies as they grow older. All the core subjects are taught over 5 lessons a week. Sorry, not all of them. English and maths is taught over 5 lessons a week. Science, because science is tested in 3 disciplines, physics, chemistry, and biology, all 3 disciplines get tested. We have 6 lessons per week for science. RE is taught over 3 lessons per week, and then PE 2 lessons a week. Now, English, math, science, and RE, these are all exam subjects. The general PE is not an exam subject. And this is where it's just about fitness, playing games, learning key skills, and learning about rules of certain sports that they play. The creative curriculum involves a full range of subjects that develops a child's interest and nurtures them towards the more creative side. That could be a child that's good at languages, it could be a child that's good at music and art. So we have a variety available to them. Your sons have chosen these in year and began it already in year 9. And this is the range of subjects we have offered our students and are available up to year 11. They are taught these subjects over 3 periods a week. All those students who have selected these subjects will take GCSE exams at the end of this academic year for these subjects. We set very aspirational targets for our students. You will find that some students may complain these targets are too high. They already know their end of year 10 targets. We are currently setting their GCSE targets, and that's going to be a grade higher than what we expected from them last year. So their targets are based on their scale scores that they've achieved at Key Stage 2, and we project what that kind of learning would be like when they reach this part of their learning. So we have an assessment target at each point. I'll explain that in a minute. And these targets are shared with our students. It is on every book of theirs, and it is shared with you as parents. My advice to you, when you get that report home, which we call the target report, please stick it somewhere prominent in your house so that every time you walk past it and every time your child walks past it, it's there for you to look at and remind him of what we are expecting from him. And those targets are aspirational, and we want every student to aspire towards achieving that target and exceeding that target. It is possible. It is possible if they put the work into it. When they get those target sheets, they'll be writing that into their planners. Like I said, it's in their books, in every single book of theirs. Why? Why are we being so pedantic? Because that is what they need to strive for. That is what they need to work towards. And that's what they have to challenge themselves to do, with your support and with our support. They have 2 very important assessments coming up. We've done one of them. We shared the information with you. And that was mock one, which they did in June before they came on to summer holidays. In there, you got a long report where teachers provided academic guidance, telling you what they needed to do to make the next step of progress. Now, some of you might have been pleased with those reports. Some of you may have not have been pleased with those reports. Parents, what I'm asking you is that when you get these reports, please take a few minutes to read through it. Then discuss it with your child. The comments made by every teacher, it takes us a while to write that up, but we find that that's a way of communicating with you to tell you that this is what he has done, or this is what he now needs to do to move on. In those reports, you will also get a color coding that will say whether he is on target, above target, or below target, or very well below target. And the color coding will tell you that. It's all on the report. And that's important information because that is telling you how he's done towards those targets that I referred to. And if he is far from those targets, if he's a grade or more away from those targets, then the color coding will tell you. And it goes red. It goes red because this means it's alert time. What's going on in the subject? What are we going to do? We need to change things around. Okay? Coming up on the 1st of November, for 2 weeks, your son will be going through mock GCSE exams. Now, when we've done the first one at the end of year 10, they would have told you, they sat in the sports hall, they had external invigilators, it was absolutely strict. I had a wand going through to make sure no one had mobile phones. That is how serious we take the mock exams. It might be torture, but the whole reason for it is to get your sons practicing what it's going to be like for the real thing. The real exam goes over almost 2 months. They write many exam papers. They write 2 exams a day. They write long exams. For example, an English exam can go on for 1 hour, 45 minutes. And it's all the training that we've been doing the last 5 years is gearing your son up for that. To be able to cope with the pressure that that's going to bring. To be able to cope successfully with the knowledge that's going to be required to pass those exams. So he gets another bite of the cherry on the 1st of November. When that exams are over, I'm going to provide you again with another long report, which will have academic guidance again, to tell you that the next last bit of this journey, what does he need to do to secure those targets? And I need you to read that carefully, sit with him, discuss it with him, and then make sure you have a plan going forward. Because if he's not achieving his targets, it's telling us that he's going to struggle in that final exam. So what are we going to do about it? The exam, like I said, will be like a proper exam. It's going to be intense. They're going to write 3 papers a day. They're going to be tired. They're going to be frustrated. You need to be there to support them. But we can reduce some of that anxiety. We can reduce some of that stress. We can reduce some of that pressure because these boys should have started preparing for this exam in July. When they finished that last mock exam and we met with them before they went on summer holiday, the address to them was, you've got 3 weeks of holiday. Take the first 3 weeks and have your fun. 3 weeks of holiday, but the last 3 weeks, we set them work that was reviewing, revising the year 10 work that was not secure. And every subject set them 1 piece of work for a week. So we understand it was holiday, but we needed that learning to continue. Teachers have now come back and we are checking that that work has been done and they have managed to actually start securing that knowledge that was not as good as we were hoping it to be. What that means is that come the 1st of November, we shouldn't see panic. We shouldn't see last minute revising on the corridors. We should not see the boy having sat up the last night trying to learn all the work. Because parents, when you leave here tonight, I am asking you to make sure your sons understand that revision happens every day. That the 1st of November is weeks away. Before we know it, May is going to be around the corner and it will be final exam time. We can't wait for them. Our preparation is ongoing. So I need your support. Your sons need your support to make sure that you are helping them at home, to keep to a revision timetable, that they are doing revision in little bits every day, contributing towards that exam. When we get the results from that exam, we will analyze the results, we'll analyze the data, we'll find the weaknesses, And then our teachers will start working with our students towards finishing the curriculum, addressing the weaknesses, and then we sit the final mock exam. Final mock exam is happening on the week of the 21st of February, another intense 2 weeks. Boys have been given sufficient notice, and so that preparation will continue. We will then share with you a report that tells you where your son is at that point in time. And that will give you an indication what happens when he then goes from February into the final exam in May, because after February, what we will now be doing is final preparation for the GCSE. Ladies and gentlemen, the DFE have made it absolutely clear that your sons will sit exams, formal exams, in some form or the other. The only thing that's being considered, the consultation has been done, is how much of the content will be tested and what changes will they make. So the consultation has closed, the decisions will soon come out. We will share that with your sons, we will share that with you. But make no mistake, they will sit GCSE exams. And because we want them to be successful, we need to work really hard to make sure that they are working hard to be successful. Learning. How do we help them develop their learning? A long spiel over here, but basically what it says is that to ensure that learning sticks persistently in the long-term memory requires students to practice using and retrieving this information. So what this means, and I said it to the boys, I explained it to them, it's as simple as you hear a new song for the first time, you don't remember it. But if you listen to Capital Radio, they play the same songs over and over again. And if you're listening to it in a day, by the end of the day, you probably heard the song 3 times, and you're going to remember it, right? That's what it means by practice using and retrieving this information. They've got to learn it, and they've got to learn it over and over again. Our students don't understand that. They think they've done it once in class, that's it, finished. They think they've done it, they've read it in the book, it's finished. No, it is not. What we need them to do is implement a schedule of practice that spreads out over time. So I'm going to do a little bit today, and I'm going to revisit it in a week's time. I'm going to do this topic again, and then in the following week, I'm going to come back to see how much I can remember. And that's developing long-term memory. From last year, after we came back from lockdown, I've been training the boys to do exactly this. I've worked with the teachers to set them retrieval homework to be able to do this. So what we've been doing as a school is we have structured their revision, and that's the work we gave them over the holidays. That's the work we gave them before Mock 1, where we are asking them, we're setting them their revision in a format where they relearn the work, they practice the work, and then they self-assess the work. And our boys know this, they are doing this, and what we need you to do as parents is make sure that it is happening. We're chunking the revision, we're breaking it down into manageable topics for them, and we're making it fast and quick. We say 45 minutes for now on a subject, but as we're coming closer to the exams, it needs to be built up to an hour, and that needs to continue. And then change it up, change the subjects. Don't do all your favorite subjects. Do one favorite subject with one that I might not be so good in. So you need to come up with a schedule where you're changing up your subjects and you keep practicing. We have a lot of support available to our students. The best support is past exam papers. You can't go wrong with that. But it's not just the questions. Ask your sons to look at the answers. This is available on all the exam websites, AQA, EdExcel, OCR, and it's free. You can print out those exam papers, you can print out the mark scheme, and you can see how to write answers. A-level chemistry, I had a student who did absolutely well, has now finished up a degree from UCL with a first. And she did that because she actually knew every mark scheme left, right, and center. She looked at the mark scheme and realized, I don't need to write a three-line answer. I used 2 words and I got 3 marks. So it's about learning how to use the mark schemes and finding those shortcuts. What does the examiner want me to write? The mark schemes tell you that. Because we use those exam questions in our mock exam. So please use that information. Maths, use Headteacher Maths. We use Linguoscope in MFL, Educate in English, Geography, and Science. Seneca Learning is used in PE, Geography, and other subjects. And then iNEMA is used in art. So please encourage your sons to make sure they are engaging with this. Now, very, very important, almost at the end. Go for School is a platform that we have been working with for the last 4 years. It is a platform that is important for you as parents. If you haven't already, please download the app. Our students now know that it's very important for them and they need to be using it. Why? You have access to the timetable for your child on that, where he's learning and what he's doing. You have information about his attendance. If he's bunking a lesson, you will know before he comes home from this. Progress reports. All his reports will be shared with you via Go for School. That is why it's important you have this information. Behavior information. Did he get positive points, negative points? What were they for? Does he have a detention? Is logged on Go for Schools. And now we this year started using our homework on Go for Schools as well. Teachers will set homework on Go for Schools. You will be able to see what homework's being set. You will know when the homework is due, and you will know if the homework's being done, because teachers and students will be logging homework. So it's really important that parents download and access the information on Go for Schools. Now, how you use Go for School is in this booklet, the curriculum booklet. You will find there is an information right at the back of the booklet from page 25 onwards that gives you the details about Go for School. Now, we've made sure we put everything in here that you will need to help you to have access to Go for School. So parents, please, I ask you to make sure you download Go for School and you start working with it and using it. Now, I'm going to come back very quickly to the mock exams coming up. And one of the main purpose of this evening is to equip parents on how you can support your children at home. Why? Because at St. Aloysius, learning has three cornerstones. The school, what we are doing, the student, what he is doing, and the parent, what you are doing. And we cannot be successful unless all three cornerstones are working together. So, how can you support your child? You don't have to have been a maths teacher or English teacher, but in this pack, I have put in here every subject that is taught at the school. You will find the course information of what is going to be taught to your son over the next 2.5 terms. So if you want to know what is your son learning, then this is the place you need to go. In addition to that, what we've also put together for you is a revision list. And that is in preparation for the mock exam on the 1st of November. Well early, we're providing you with a list of topics for every subject, what your child needs to be revising in preparation for the mock exam. This is done by his teachers. They've given him all the information he needs. So this again, like his target sheet, needs to be stuck up somewhere prominent in your house where he can look at it all the time and you can look at it all the time. You can support his learning by providing him with a quiet place to learn. But you can also support his learning by saying, bring a book here, come sit with me, let me ask you some questions, let's see what you know. You might not know what to think about what he's saying, but it's just interacting with him. Let us know that we are interested in his learning as well. So any little bit that you can do will be really helpful. So gentlemen, boys, I'm talking to you. You have no excuse. I have no homework. I don't know what to do with myself, because that's your homework for the rest of this year until you get to the 1st of November. In addition to the classwork that you will be getting. So revision is ongoing. You can't say, I don't know what to learn. Okay? Organize yourself. Make sure you're prepared, because if you're prepared, you're likely to be successful. The other thing, lastly, from me, is that we need our boys in class. As Ms. Garib said, we don't have time to be dealing with behavior. We get to educate them. The more time we spend with them in the classroom, the more chances we are to ensure that the learning is secure. And in order to do that, the behavior needs to be the best. We need to be receptive to learning, and so together we can do it. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to give you a chance for a few minutes if there's any questions pertaining to the mock exams or learning at St. Aloysius that I could answer together. If you don't want to say the question out loud, please feel free to stay behind. You can meet myself, the head teacher, Ms. Garib, and there's some heads of departments around. Now, we have an extension to the afternoon for some students. Ms. Kinzel and Ms. Pavila have put on, like we mentioned already, an aspirations evening for our HPA students. If you're not sure if you're one of those, we're not going to call out your names, but there's a list on the Glassdoor who the teachers would like to see. So please check those names before you do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a long afternoon, you come from work, but I want to say a huge thank you to you for coming there tonight. It has been very good. Like I said to our parents, we're just excited about you coming through the door. And we're looking forward to working with you through this year so that your sons can be really successful on exam results. Ms. Berry has a quick announcement.
Yeah, just one last thing. A massive well done to the boys with the way they started year 11. I spent my 3 periods walking around and visiting their classes, and there has not been a single issue in their classes from the time they started up until today. We are very impressed at the level in which they've come back after the holidays and how focused they are on their learning. So hopefully that will continue. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attendance. Like I said, parents and students, we look forward to the next year being a successful one. And we will be meeting again, as Ms. White pointed out, in November 23rd for Parents' Evening, where we'll be sharing the mock exam results with you and the next year. Thank you very much.